countries are doing that, and one of them is Saudi Arabia. We have been attacked by our cities, and our people were attacked by the same people who are from the same country. Saudis, young Saudis recruit. They recruit them, and they give them the idea that what you're doing is correct. And they start killing in the most vicious way, and in their own land, destroying their own resources. I was a vice president in an oil company 3 years ago, when one of the largest oil installations, and which was under my jurisdiction at the time, that has 8 million barrels a day of stabilization. It's a place east of Riyadh called Abqaiq, where terrorists actually drove in 2 cars. They are all Saudis, all trained outside the country, and brought in 2 trucks laden with, each one of the trucks is 1 ton of high explosive. They moved into that area of very volatile area and just detonated these with themselves, killing themselves. But thank God, they had we had a lot of protection for the oil installation. And we did it in a natural way that you can get stuck. You really cannot take a large car in these small areas by way of design. So they blew themselves up, and they blew their cars in a distant, and we had minor damage. But that's what we're that's what we have been geared for in the last few years. You're saying what can we? These people are very strong. They are very small minority. We stood for them. We disappointed them. We captured them. We put them in jail. We prosecuted some. But you have to stand strong for people like that, and because they are after everything that's good for humanity. If that has happened or succeeded 3 years ago, you would have seen the barrel of oil hitting about $250 easily.
But my understanding is that the Muslim belief is that since there is only one God, therefore the message of God is consistent. And therefore the message of Judaism and the message of Christianity and the message of Islam has to be the same message. Only the practice is maybe slightly different, but the message has to be identical. Now, if you look at the history of Christianity, at one stage where it was getting rooted in too much fundamentals or going backwards, Christianity went through a reformation, which was a readjustment of the thinking to modern times. That type of readjustment has not taken place in Islam, because at some stage, about 1,000 years ago almost, some people said everything has been decided already and the doors of interpretation are now closed. How can you close doors of interpretation? You have to constantly adjust to modernism. You can't live in the 7th century all the time. You have to live in the 21st century. So how can you close the doors of interpretation? And why should they be closed? You said jihad means making an effort. Well, the best jihad then is the best interpretation of Islam.
Absolutely. No, I hope you don't mean me, Dr. Kamal. I'm not closing the door.
Yeah, but you're the one who doesn't have a beard.
Who's in trouble, yeah. No, you'll find a lot of people like me agreeing with you 100%. We cannot change these people overnight, but they will be changed. There are lots of institutions in the Arab world and the Muslim world mainly that believe there is no, just like I said, it's not closed. We can be wrong. Interpretation of people to the Word of God could be wrong, but the mistake is a lot of people in the Muslim world, they take these interpretation of human being as a word of God, and they treat it that way. And there is the mistake. There is where we can bring this minority of people and tell them, look, this is not the way to do it. These are words of people interpreting the Quran, interpreting the Torah, interpreting the Bible. And they could, and I hear it in every religion. I hear some very fanatic, very closed-minded interpretation of the Word of God. So it's in all religion. Unfortunately, these fanatics or the terrorists, if you may, are using this as a stick to say that we have to go that way and we have to force it. This is the only way. If you really look at the Taliban or the Al-Qaeda rules and what they are promoting, is everything is in a negative context. From how you treat women, treat your family, for the basics, the inequality of people. They are doing exactly the same thing as Islam. Islam is going exactly the same thing as the Christianity went into the Middle Ages, where the Pope was appointing the kings at the time, and he was the absolute power to do that. We're pulling away from this, and hopefully, and I think you're going to see a lot of moderate Muslims and Arabs thinking the same way. And I know that we are the majority. We're not the vocal majority. We're just the majority, but we're not doing enough, I think, to let it be known and be heard. But I'm confident that this will be the way in the future.
I hope you're right, except that some of the news that we read, countries like Pakistan are going in the other direction, not in the forward direction, but in the backward. But you referred to women. Let's turn to women, which is an attractive subject, as you know.
I hope I don't get attacked in here.
No, but I want to know, you don't treat your women very well in Saudi Arabia. You don't let them drive. And yet, as far as I know, 51% of the total wealth of Saudi Arabia belongs to women in Saudi Arabia.
That's true.
So if they own the wealth, why can't they drive their own cars?
Well, I tell you, it's this is the biggest problem that we're facing, and I don't have any explanation to it. Actually, one of them, my daughter.
You are the ambassador, and you don't have an explanation.
My daughter challenged me every night about the same issue, and I said to her, "Look, I'm hiring a driver for you." She says, "No, I want to be free. I don't want a driver to drive me around," and she's right. I think we have a lot of things to change in Saudi Arabia. Let's talk about Saudi Arabia, because the rest of the Arab world and the Muslim world, the women drive, and it's easy. We have, there are so many negative things about not letting women drive. First of all, if we just decide tomorrow we're gonna let women drive, we will send about 3 million drivers back to their home. We can make a lots of money out of that.
So you're more worried about your driver than about your daughter. That's what you're saying.
No. This is the second thing, and it says the same people who enforce these things, the clergies that we have, they will tell you a woman should not be with a man alone. Okay. And don't mix. Yet they will tolerate the women being with a stranger in a car driving around. So here is the double standard in this. I know I'm saying this because I didn't want anybody to question me about it or ask the same question I'm saying right now. We recognize the faults and problem that we have. We're